That was bad, Dan. We're going to try and put a bit of perspective on things here. Our thoughts are quite raw, but try and sum it up and what you feel after that game.
Just frustrated and disappointed because there's not one thing going forward in that football match that Aston Villa did that excited me. It was just toothless. We just never looked like we could score. I mean, I thought watching the game that we hadn't had a shot on target, but to see it confirmed and the stats, that's just dross. That's not good enough at any level of football. To be professional footballers and not have one shot on target in 90 minutes isn't good enough at any level.
It isn't, and it was bad. Like, you can't sugarcoat over things, and today was one of those days, like in so many recent weeks, where there's just been nothing to even give us an inkling of hope that we're going to actually score a goal, especially when we obviously conceded fairly early on as well.
Yeah, I mean, the start of half-time, Aston Villa for 3 years haven't won a game where they've been behind at half-time, and you hear stuff like that and you just think, oh, Jesus. And then within 20 seconds from kick-off, we've nearly conceded again from sloppy passing. I mean, the passing all day, it was just dreadful. I mean, we've had 90 more passes than Wolves through that football match, but I hate to think what our pass completion was compared to them. I mean, they did a lot more with the ball than we did. I mean, yeah, okay, I think Wolves did play quite well. I mean, they hassled us, they suffocated us, but I think even if they hadn't have hassled and suffocated us, we're the masters of our own downfall because we can't keep the ball and we can't create any chances at the moment.
Yeah, the chances are just non-existent, and the passing has been atrocious. Like Millie Jednak, for example, I can't think the last time he actually made a pass that went to our man. There was in the first half where he had plenty of time on the ball and he's pinged one over the top and it's nowhere near anybody. It's gone straight through to the goalkeeper. Like,
he looks knackered.
Awful. He does look totally out of it.
He's not even doing the defensive side of his game that great over since Christmas. Really, to be fair, he looks exhausted. But then Bruce has said himself about sometimes he struggles in a two, and Tishbola and Jedinak struggled in a two at home when we played Wolves at Villa Park, and it was the same story today. There's nothing in midfield. The midfield is a massive issue. I mean, the only time we've looked semi-decent this season was when we played three central midfielders, but we seem to have moved away from that, and especially at the moment when we've got players missing, you'd think the three in midfield would make more sense.
We've got a smug ex-manager now who's played us off the park today, which shouldn't have been the case at all. And just starting from the back, the mistake that was made defensively, Jordan Amarvi and Sam Johnston, what did you make of that? Do you think Sam Johnston's at fault there, or was it Amarvi that's at fault, or both of them?
I mean, I think Amarvi could have cut it off at source a lot earlier. There was a lot of dallying around, but Aston Villa seem to be one of these teams that they make a mistake, and I think Johnston, to be fair, has made a mistake, but we make a goalkeeping error or a defensive error, and the ball ends up in the back of the net. I mean, all goalkeepers make mistakes. That's just a fact of life in football. But it seems that every time we make any kind of mistake, the ball ends up in the net. I mean, I thought the defending all round wasn't great for that goal because obviously we've talked about Amavi down the left-hand side. The only slight excuse I can have for Johnston was that it came at him fast and it looked like Elphick was going to get there and he didn't. But then he's palmed it into a dangerous area, but there's not any Villa players reacting to what's going on. I mean, the guy hasn't even finished it sweetly. He scuffed it into the net and there's not a Villa player in sight. It's just these sloppy goals, and when you're not scoring goals, you can't afford to be giving away goals like that. That's the last three games in a row now. I mean, Leeds, Cardiff, and tonight, the goals we've conceded is amateur hour. It's not good enough. And defensively, we've been good this season, but the goals we're conceding at the moment are very, very sloppy.
Oh, it's awful. And Alan Hutton, bless him, tries his hardest, but he's atrocious.
Yeah, he tries.
Side, and
I cannot believe I'm still having to watch him play. Yeah, he tries hard, and to be fair to him, he does run up and down, but he's just running into dead ends.
Up and down, though, yeah.
Well, okay, yeah. But yeah, Alan, he runs up and down. But he's never going anywhere. He's awful on the ball. His positionally is non-existent. He's never where he should be. And to be fair, you could say that about all the Villa players tonight. None of them were where they should be, but I'm just, with the carry on from last season, I'm just sick of watching it.
Normally, when Albert Adoma and him link up, it can be okay, but even Albert Adoma today wasn't his usual sort, considering he's the most creative outlet we've had this season.
Well, he's at the moment, probably one of our key players, whilst Codger and Aya are away, but I didn't see anything from him tonight. I mean, that one where he was through on goal, I don't know what, it wasn't even a shot. I don't know what it was, and he was it was fair for him to come off, because he wasn't doing it. But again, he's not alone. You can't be carrying 7 or 8 players through a football match. It can't happen. You will not win games if you're doing that, and especially when your main player, your big hitters, away at the African Cup of Nations. I mean, but really, should one player being away cause us that much trouble?
I thought Leandro Bacuna as well was anonymous today. Totally out of it, not in the game one bit. I can't think of anything he did. Well, none of the midfield did anything, but him in particular, I didn't see nothing from him today.
I mean, I can forgive him a bad game, because I think he all round has been good this season, and he's been decent down that left-hand side over the last month or so. But there's not any player. I mean, my heart sank when Nathan Baker injured himself in the warm-up. I feared the worst, but actually I thought Elphick did okay. Him and Chester did okay. I mean, Amavi, the same as Hutton defensively at the moment and on the ball. He's not at it. I thought he looked decent going forward with his crossing and his dribbling, but his passing, I mean, he probably completed as many passes as Jedinak, and Jedinak didn't complete many.
Obviously, up top, the 2 men, you might as well have had 2 stick men up there at times. I think McCormack was possibly trying to do something, but he missed the sitter. And then Gabby Bonglaw, this renaissance has to stop. It's ridiculous that guy's still getting in the team, because, as we've touched on so many times in recent weeks, he's running blind alleys.
I mean, he isn't going to stop. Bruce wants this to work, and football managers can be very, very stubborn, as we've seen previously. I mean, in fairness to McCormack and Gabby, the service was just non-existent, other than the Amavi cross that McCormack should have done a hell of a lot better with, to not test the goalkeeper from a chance like that. I don't care how tall you are or how good in the air you are. You've got to hit the target and make the keeper work. I mean, between them, I don't think they could have trapped a bag of cement. Every time one of them got the ball into them, it's bouncing off them. They're not controlling the ball properly. They're breaking down a rare attack that we have. And I can forgive people being bad, and I can forgive people making mistakes to an extent. But whenever Gabby does anything wrong, he's got a massive grin on his face. And this isn't even last chance saloon for him. I mean, I can see that he has lost some weight. He looks way leaner than even he did a month ago. And yes, he is working hard defensively, but the man's an attacker. He's playing as a lone forward. You've got to do a hell of a lot more. He doesn't look like he's ever going to score a goal ever again. And Bruce seems to be one of the only people that can't see that, and it's worrying. We should have been way ahead in the market than where we are now. To not have an outfielder in by now, it's negligent in my eyes. I mean, and to Sol Gusted as well, who again is not the best player in the world, but at least he's an outlet up front. At least he's got something that he's good at. He's good in the air. But we never used to put crosses in the box when Gusted was there, and suddenly now he's gone. We're firing the ball into the box at every opportunity because there's nothing else on. But to sell him at the start of January, when you knew you were losing Ayew, you knew you were losing Codger, and you knew that Gabby and McCormack weren't in the best of form, to not have someone lined up to come in straight away, it's worrying. And we need a striker along with a few other positions.
Jordan Rhodes, to me, I didn't think at the start of the window we needed him, but we do need him now. Midfield, Conor Hourihane, Harry Lansbury, very heavily linked now. We need that midfield shoring up because there's no intensity. Intensity is the key word for me. Wolves hurried us off the ball so much, and even then they weren't great on the ball, but they were doing a lot more with it than we were, and we were just gandering along like with a care in the world. You may as well have told them there was an earthquake going on at the opposite end of the pitch, or a twister coming towards them, and they'd have still been stood there with the ball. They'd have still gandered around. They were useless on the ball, and we need that midfield sorted out. And then, as we touched on as well at right back, it's a show.
That's being probably kind. I mean, the Wolves goalkeeper tonight, he can 100% wear those same goalkeeping gloves next week because he has barely had to touch the ball. He's barely had to use his hands. He might have took a few goal kicks out of his hands all night, and that's it. And that is, as I say, that is worrying. We shouldn't be in that position. We've spent a lot of money in the summer, and I think I'm not knocking the board here because I think they backed Di Matteo in the summer, and they're clearly gonna back Bruce. But we've got to stop dilly-dallying around. I know it's not like Football Manager and FIFA buying players, but it's the middle of Jan, and we've done nothing to improve the outfield. The only position we've bought someone is a position that I don't think was a problem. And as we've seen, every goalkeeper can make a mistake, and especially when they've got an Aston Villa shirt on.
Well, it's just a cursed shirt, as I've said, since Brad Friedel's days. So, overall perspective that we need to put on this is the fact that we are only in the middle of January. There's still 2 weeks to go. I would be looking at this in a totally different way if this was 2 weeks later and we're in the position we are now in terms of players we've got. But we're 10 points away now from the playoffs, and we're 4 players away for me as well, away from the playoffs, or 4 players away from a good performance. And that's concerning for me. But I've got faith this next week that hopefully we can do something. But we've obviously got playing Preston next, who are in a good vein of form as well, especially with Callum Robinson scoring a few games in a row now. I can't wait for him to bag versus again.
Well, it annoyed me that the commentators were talking about how keen Paul Lambert was to promote youth at Wolves, because I'd have been surprised if he'd have known the name of one Aston Villa youth team player when he was there. His reluctance to use that next-gen winning side was unreal, considering he brought in people like Jordan Bowery and used them ahead of people like Jordan Graham, Callum Robinson coming through the academy. It's just bizarre. But going back to what you're saying about what we need, I feel sorry for Bruce because he looks frustrated on the sidelines. And since he's come in, to be fair, he's done a lot of very good things and he's doing a decent job. But he's playing catch-up from what happened before him. But he'll know that we need bodies and he'll want to improve things. But he looks bewildered by some of the stuff that he's seen. And as a manager on the sideline, yes, you're the one who's sending the team out. But when they get on the pitch, sometimes there's only so much you can do. I mean, he's not telling players to not complete passes and play at a slow tempo. He's not telling them to do that. It's the Villa players. It
is, and they've got to take responsibility, and hopefully we can try and do something from this position.
As I say, I do feel for Bruce. Like you say, when he came in, we weren't playing great, but we were picking up results. We're now not playing great, and we're not picking up results, which is really, really concerning. I mean, the problem is at the moment, Villa fans, they're going to overreact to everything that happens. And they've got every right to react badly, to be fair, tonight, because that wasn't good enough. But every defeat just feels so raw and hurts so much as a Villa fan, because all we've had is defeats for 5-6 years. And it's hurting people. People are upset. I mean, I'm usually quite calm around things, but even tonight, I'm so frustrated. And that there's no way that performance was good enough. And it's not fair on the fans that have gone to the game. The away fans especially deserve so much more at the moment, because we've sorted out the home form. The away form, it just never seems to really change. Okay, we've won a couple of away games under Bruce, but in general, you just can never get excited about us away from home because you're just always preparing for the worst, and something fundamental needs to change to correct that.
It does need change, and hopefully we can see something, but you can't sugarcoat how bad it was. But we want to try and get your comments and your thoughts below. I think people have been saying Bruce out. I don't personally agree with that, but what do you think? Get your comments in below, and we'll try and get back to as many of them as we can and try and get more perspective on things. And make sure you are subscribing to Villa View, your post notifications on.
If you enjoyed that video, why not watch another? Click the video choices on screen now to go and watch them in full. Be sure to subscribe to the channel by clicking our logo there on the left. Easy peasy.